Hey guys, how's it going? Facebook, happy Thursday, April 2nd. We are in the 4th month of the year, and I wanted to do something a bit light with it, all that's going on. But I just literally finished having class with my public speaking students, and I gave them a surprise. We're doing impromptu speeches today, and some faces were, oh no. So many students, I want to quickly talk about impromptu speaking. Public speaking, as I mentioned before, is the number one fear. Death is number two. It's amazing how public speaking, it literally can cause it can literally put a grip on you and prevent you from being able to advocate and use your voice, have faith in your voice. And so public speaking is so much more important than what we really know. And it's so much more deeper than just being able to stand before an audience and talk. But it really creates such great confidence in so many ways. And again, it helps you to be able to advocate for things that you believe in and things that you believe to be important. And so when I gave my students, for the impromptus that I normally do, sometimes I'll give a phrase. So one of the phrases that I ask for my students, I just call them randomly. And I called on one of my students and I gave her this phrase for her to respond to. And I said, if fear was a person, what would you say to it? And so, I give them a few minutes to think about what they're going to say. And for an impromptu presentation, I really require my students to not just, just share, although it's off the cuff. Hey, Donna, how are you? Although it's off the cuff, it still has to be strict. It still has to be organized. So you still need an introduction. You still need a body. You still need a conclusion when you're giving an impromptu presentation. And so sometimes I'll give them one word. I'll give a word. I'll say cup. And they have to take that one word and make it and relate that one word to their audience. Hi, Jocelyn. Guess what I'm talking about? Jocelyn is one of my former students. And so I'm talking about impromptu presentations. So I just want to kind of give a quick tip on how to be effective at delivering an impromptu presentation. So again, when you're given a word or a question or a statement to respond to, take a few moments to gather your thoughts and to think about what it is that you want to share with your audience with relationship to what. And so in thinking about that, always remain audience centered. I can't say how important it is to make sure that you remain audience centered, because the information that you're sharing is not only for you, it's not really for you, it's more so for your audience. So keep that in mind when you're delivering an impromptu. Don't try to be so quick to get through with it and be finished so that it's done and over with. So for my students, I give them a 2-minute time mark to share their impromptu speech. Now, within delivering your impromptu speech, you want to make sure that you're concise, because a lot of times we talk so much and we never get to the point or really never answer the question. So as I said before, I gave my student a question and I asked, what if fear was a person, what would you say to fear? And so I gave her a few moments to kind of think about what she wanted to talk about, and she began to share her message. She did a really good job. I gave it to 2 students. And when you're thinking about that, again, make sure that you hit the point, that you get to the point, and that you're not ringing all over the place, okay? So the first thing is make sure that you take a moment to really think about what it is that you want to say. The second thing is make sure that you whatever you're going to say, that you have an introduction, a body, and conclusion. The third thing is make sure that you keep it audience centered and that you involve your audience. Now, this is something that is done in a very short time span, because remember, it's an impromptu. You have very little time to think about what you're going to say, all right? Some people are really good with impromptu, and sometimes, again, it can be so difficult because you feel like you're kind of thrown this question, or you're thrown something that you need to share off the cuff, and you want to try to start getting in the, and intentionally doing things like this so that you can be sharp with it when someone asks you a question. All right, so as I said before, make sure that you take a moment to think about what it is that you're going to say. Also, make sure that you as you're thinking about that you're answering the question. It makes no sense to spend 2 to 4 minutes talking about something and you're not answering you're not responding to the question or the statement that you were given, assigned. All right. Number 3, make sure you remain audience centered. Engage with your audience and don't rush to try to share what it is that you're going to share so quickly so you can share and then leave. Fear a lot of times would cause us to do that. But again, making sure you keep your audience in the forefront and don't rush. And then when you close, I always tell my students, never close with, and that's it. That is a weak conclusion. You want to make sure that you're giving your audience something to remember in your conclusion. What is your residual message? The residual message is, what is it that you want your audience to remember after speaking for 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 10 minutes, however long your delivery is. Okay, so I challenge you and encourage you to start getting in the habit of learning how to, deliver impromptu presentations, because again, sometimes you just never know when you're going to be called on, and you may be in front of a lot of people, a few people, but you want to make sure that you develop that habit of being able to take a question, and really think about it, not allow fear to overtake you within that short time span that you have, to really advocate and use your voice. There is so much power in your voice. And that's why a lot of times the enemy try to muzzle us and try to use us and create fear on the inside of us withstanding and being able to use our voice, okay? And don't even allow your thoughts. And I get it. I used to have the fear of public speaking. And depending on the platform, being nervous is different from having the fear. It's okay to be nervous with any assignment that you have, but fear will literally paralyze you. So being nervous, you still have to learn how to manage your nerves and allow it to work for you, as opposed to working against you. So at the end of the presentation, there are 3 types of presentations. The first one is the one you prepare for. The second one is the one that you gave. And the third one is the one that you wish you would have given. Okay? So at the end of your delivery, you're able to find what you've done and obviously take feedback and grow in those areas. All right. So public speaking. So here's a quick test. So if I were to say, here's an impromptu and your word is pin, right? How would you take this and use it as a tool to give a speech for your audience? It's not always easy. It really requires us to think outside the box. But how can you take an item and use that as your point of discussion to share new information with your audience and engage with your audience and leave your audience with something to think about? So that's a quick test for you. So take the pen and take that and run with it. But impromptu is something that we should always, there are different types of presentations, and I'll talk about that. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do have helped me. Caitlin, I love Caitlin and Jocelyn. They were 2 of my favorite students who I stay in contact with even today. And so it really, really blesses my heart when I'm able to work with students and help them find their voice and feel confidence, develop that confidence in their voice. So it's always exciting and fun. So you're most welcome, Miss Jean. But again, so, share this message. It's something light, nothing heavy, something light. And again, with public speaking and impromptu speeches and how this is the one that people fear most because you have very little time to prepare for. I remember when I used to be in meetings and we would be at a round table and I would get so nervous that they would call on me to share something because I didn't know, I was afraid to speak publicly, even in a small setting. And so now I've developed that confidence, and even going beyond that, understanding that everyone has a message. We all have a story to tell. But if we don't have the confidence in our voice, if we don't understand, we don't have the faith in our voice, then no one will hear the message. And in your message, there are lives that can be changed, and people who can be encouraged, and all of that good stuff. So enjoy the rest of your day. Share this message, tag someone who you believe could really benefit from this message. They may have a fear of public speaking, or not necessarily a fear of public speaking, but really don't know how to organize a message. That is equally important, because I always say a presentation is like a journey. And so you take your audience on a journey, whether you're speaking before one individual or 1,000 people. You should always your audience should feel like you're speaking to one amongst many. And that really takes skill. It takes skill and passion. And so in order to develop that, it takes work. As I said before, this is the number one fear. It's called glossophobia. Glossophobia is having a fear of public speaking and being involved in social settings. And so people, they feel as though, I really don't need to develop my public speaking skills. I'll kind of wing it. You never want to wing it. You want to make sure that you prepare yourself. Now, in an impromptu, you're winging it, but you want to learn how to engage in. There are 4 types of presentations. You have impromptu. The second one, you have extemporaneous. An extemporaneous presentation is one where your information, it's researched, it's outlined, it's delivered conversationally. Okay, so you really did in-depth research in order to deliver this presentation. You did an outline, and it's delivered conversationally. So impromptu, extemporaneous. You have manuscript, where you're reading. Okay, so you think of newscasters, and they're pretty much reading from a manuscript. People who tend to do presentation, like when you are called on to introduce someone, you're reading from a manuscript. And then the last one, you have, I'm trying to remember, impromptu, extemporaneous, manuscript, and memorize. Your presentation is memorized, where you're doing it off of your memory. So there are benefits, pros and cons to each one, but the most effective one is extemporaneous. Okay, so I'm just going to leave you guys with that. And again, share this message. And if it really encouraged you and really you learned something in this short video, do me a favor and in the comments, post what it is that you learned just from this short message. And so again, there's your challenge. Take this pen and think about how you can deliver a message to your audience, and see what you come up with. Have fun doing it, and remember, don't be afraid of your voice, because in your voice, there's a message that you have to share with the world, and it will truly and can truly bless and encourage and uplift a lot of people. All right. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.